Hello, I'm retired Battalion Chief Larry Cockman from the Greensboro, North Carolina Fire Department History Book Committee. We're here today at the Greensboro Historical Museum. I'm standing in front of the General Green, the first steam pumper, or as they called it back then, a steamer. Today, December 9th, 2019, we are starting a new tradition of recording and preserving the heritage and culture of our retirees. Our retirees have contributed so much to the success of our great fire department. Their stories retire with them and are sometimes gone forever when they pass away. They will share their emergency calls that will always be a part of their memories forever. So sit back and listen as they carry us through their journey in the Greensboro Fire Department.
Full name, my name is David Robert Burch. I was 60, well, at retirement I was 51 years old. 61. I had to think about that. I had 30 and a half years of service when I retired. I was already retired as a captain. And I grew up, was born and raised in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Graduated high school, went to Elon College for a year. Found out that's not where I wanted to be. Came to Greensboro. I went to GTCC and saw a job opportunity bulletin in the hallway at GTCC for fire department. I thought that might be a fun job. And applied, and 2 weeks later I heard from, I think Faye called me and said I had the job. So that's how I ended up here. Yeah, I did go to Elon College for a year. I was going to major in accounting, and it didn't take me but a year to figure out sitting behind a desk was not the kind of job I wanted to do, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So, as I said a minute ago, I came to Guilford Tech, still not knowing what I wanted to do. I think I started off in civil engineering. I just knew I wanted to do something outdoors with hands-on, and when I saw the opportunity for the fire department, I thought, I'm going to apply for it and see what happens. Got hired the first time I applied. So my hiring process was, of course, I went for an interview. And then, back then, in '79, there was a physical abilities course that you had to go take, putting pegs in holes and washers on screws, just your physical agility with your hands and stuff. But, our training was 15 weeks, and then 3 weeks of EMT on the end of it. And so I had never really thought about being a firefighter. I'd never been a volunteer firefighter, never had any relatives in the fire service. Actually, other than accounting that I was looking at, I was interested in law enforcement, more so than firefighting. I do. My starting salary when I came on the fire department was $800 a month. And I remember thinking if I could ever start making $1,000 a month, I would be in the money. We had 20 people in our class, 3 ladies. I think they're the second group of ladies to be hired. I think Kay Pearman and Deanne Staley were in the first. Kathy Smith, Anita Strong, and Doris Wall. It was enjoyable. I loved it. I mean, 2 weeks after I started, I knew this was what I was going to do for the rest of my life. I mean, it was just something different every day and lots of hands-on activities. And I had Chief Bob Nugent was in my class, Richard Slowbaum, Stan Stafford, Gary Hoagland, a fellow named Gary Hoagland, Chris Herbin, Chuck Stocker. Yeah, when I finished training, my first assignment was Old Central Station. I signed to Engine 2. Carl Eller was my first captain, and Bob McLean was the driver. Tim Cox was on the truck with me, and Jesse Walker. That was our crew. It was great. It was exciting, nervous, but everybody took me in, treated me well. we had a good time, and I had a great crew. I did pick up a nickname probably halfway through my career, and a good friend of mine, Douglas Wayne Reed, gave me the nickname of Sticky Burch. And where that came from was when Walter Burch ran for Guilford County Sheriff, his nickname was Sticky, and Doug stole it from him and gave it to me. So and it stuck. There's been a bunch of pranks played in the Greensboro Fire Department at one time, and there's not any special ones that really stick out to me, but there's been a bunch of good ones. I think maybe one of the best ones was it was called the Old Man Mask, and I don't care how many times it got you. I mean, you saw it would get you every time. Somebody might have a window open or something, and they ask you to close it. You reach your hand out to pull the window shut, and the old man jumps up out there and grabs your hand. Or he could come out of a closet or something on you. You never know where he's going to pop up, and it always gets you. The union was just beginning to become active at the time that I came on. I think I'd probably been on maybe 2 years when it started forming. I originally signed a piece of paper to be on it, but some of us got a little nervous about whether we're going to keep our job if we stayed with it, so I did get off of it and get out of it at that time. I did. Every station that I went to, we did cook together and sat at the table. Everybody ate together, and that, to me, was some of the best camaraderie of the fire department, sitting around the kitchen table talking about calls that you'd been on, about how everybody's family's doing. And, it was a good time to share with people. I didn't know anything about cooking when I came on, but I learned, and you had to learn, and you had to learn quick. I had a pretty good recipe to cook. It's a Salisbury steak recipe, and it was always well liked, so that's one thing I stuck with. Just mashed potatoes and green beans and biscuits. I think now, since the stations have gotten so busy, I think cooking is hard for them to do, really. The fact that even if they eat out, they're still sitting together eating and able to talk. I know it's hard for the stations now to be able to sit down and cook a meal at the station. I think the stations, I've only been able to experience it really at Station 5, the new Station 5, for a few years, and it gives you a little privacy. It definitely cuts down on the noise from snoring than the big dorm, and just the fact that they have open tops and no doors, you can still talk to people laying in there. But I think most people like the little bit of extra privacy that you get with the cubicles versus the open dorm. But I don't know, the open dorm was just old school fire stations.
Did you?
I liked the open dorm. I did, but other than the fact that the noise level from snoring. Obviously, in today's world, there's a lot more technology. Everybody has a cell phone, and I think during downtime, many people on their phones looking at Facebook, Twitter, whatever. But it's taken a lot of personal time away from people, I think. I think in small groups, people still spend time together with other families, and not so much as it used to be. You could get 10 or 12 people together to come help somebody build their house, and you don't see that a whole lot now today. But it may be the hands-on skill level that people that are coming on now just don't have that we had in the older days. I mean, as far as learning how to do stuff for yourself, but somebody needed you were there, and it's still. I'm not saying it's not like that now, because there's still people right now I can call and they'd be there just at the blink of an eye to whatever I needed. But it's in a larger group. I don't think it's as available to you. I think when retired firefighters stop by stations, You're always told that once you're a fireman, you're always a firefighter, and it's really not that way, because when you stop by a station, people don't know you. It's hard. It's hard for them to be open and come up to you and talk to you, but it makes me feel at home as they do. I mean, but be more receptive to having us in the stations and stuff. But basically, if we can get out like the Firemen's Club, the young people come into the Firemen's Club and meet a lot of the retirees, and that way, when you go to a station, you would know somebody. But I play golf with some of the younger guys, so that's how the ones that I do know, I met them through that. And yeah, I think everybody getting more involved in the club or union or something like that would probably help. I don't really remember my first call, but I think my first big fire that I went on, I kind of remember that. I don't know how long, I hadn't been on long because I was on engine 2. And it was the old Greensboro Steakhouse on Spring Garden Street, big 2-story steakhouse. And it burnt to the ground. It was a 2-alarm fire, but that one stands out in my mind as probably one of the first big fires that I had been on. Well, Carl Eller was the captain, and Bob McLean was the driver, and Tim Cox and Jesse Walker. And Jesse kind of took me under his wing. He's that kind of person. He's one that just looks after people. And yeah, when I first came on, the squads were in place, and they're the ones that wrote the medical calls. So until I got on the squad, and I don't remember writing medical calls, but I was on squad 2 or squad 7, which was renamed to, for about 7 years. Yeah, from 83 to 89, end of 89, so almost 7 years. I think the worst thing was children, anything that involved children, as far as a bad call. And I've seen young people, 15 years old, hang themselves. I mean, it's stuff like that. That really touches home and hurts your heart, because personally, I sit there and think, how bad was this emotions, this person, to feel like that was their only out. That makes me just think. I mean, what were they going through to feel like that was their best option? And any call like that to me just sticks in my head. Banner Industries, I think that was a real bad one. I ended up with a roof collapse there, but and the old train depot down behind Station Davie Street, Ashburn Street. I remember when we pulled out of Station 7 that we got to Bessemer and Gatewood, and we could see fire. Captain Bob Boss was assigned to Engine 4 at the time, and he pulled up and gave a size up of, we have a 100 by 1,000 foot warehouse fully involved. He wasn't really exaggerating. I think we stayed there all night long and might have saved a 100-foot section of it, and then 2 weeks later they bulldozed. So, wow. But that, and of course, Davie Street. Everybody, that would be one that sticks in everyone's mind forever. So that's like, we had one called Wade's Trim Shop down on Sycamore Street, and Larry Patterson and I were in there with a 2.5 inch, and that's when we had one walking up between the two of us. We were on the squad, and we started hearing them tell us to evacuate because the roof was starting to go, and I mean, we didn't know how far back. We were way back in there, and we could hear fire popping above us and everything. And we left the nozzle in there and just started crawling out the line. And yeah, that's another one. Like I said, we got out, but it could have been a lot different. When 9/11 happened, I'll never forget this day where I was going to mow, and I heard it on the radio. I was going down Wendover, and I pulled in Station 5, the new Station 5. And I ended up sitting there for about 7 hours watching, just glued to the TV. But I think the biggest impact that had on me really was how they lost 343 firefighters. And I sit there thinking, how hard was that for the guys that were still there, knowing their buddies, their best friends that, were gone, and they were in there. And of course they were under get them out. It wasn't just, no, we're leaving them in there, but that, I just sit there and try to think how that would affect us as a department with that many losing. And of course, they have 15,000 firefighters, but still, they lost a large percentage of firemen. 343 lives is a lot of lives. And I mean, I guess that would probably been like us losing 25 or 30, but still, that's a lot of people to lose in an incident. Oh, probably had several people, actually. Captain Ed Sawyer, I thought the Lord of that man, and he was my captain when I was there on squad too, and he was hardcore fireman. I mean, he was, and he was a good leader. I mean, some people took him different, but he knew what he was doing, and he was a good leader. I enjoyed working for him. He taught me a whole lot. He did. And another one to me that stands out was Gary Church. And Gary, good as gold, good as man as you'd ever meet. And he really was an inspiration to me in my life. And in my career, I mean, honestly, I was a pretty low stress person. I say I was, but when I left, I could feel stress lifted off of me. But you know, I pretty much took things that it is what it is, and you know, we're gonna make the best of it no matter what we do. But there really wasn't anything that stands out as a challenge to me. I mean, I'd do it all over again tomorrow. I would. That was the hardest thing I've ever done, is leave this fire station and walk away from that job. But you know, sometimes it's just time to go. Yeah, but it wears on your body, and yeah, it's just I made a decision that this is it. But the closer to the time it got to it, it was hard to walk away from. As far as doing something different, I may have applied myself a little harder to move up the ladder. I come very close to being battalion chief. The window of opportunity closed, and I feel like the Lord wasn't meant to be, so I just try to look at it like that, and I was where I was supposed to be. So probably the hardest fire call that I've been on, we lost 3 children in one fire on Randolph Avenue when I was at Station 11. And actually Don Hayes and myself found these 3 children in the same bed. I think the youngest one was like 3 weeks old, and the oldest one was 2, and they were all burnt from, and that was hard. The memory sticks in my head. I can still see them laying there, but you know, it's just something that etched in your mind. Proudest moment in the fire department. Proudest thing, I guess, when I got promoted to officer. I mean, why wouldn't it be? You know, and when I was at Station 5, we had a rescue. We rescued a man out of a silo down at the lumber company, and we won a national award for that. That was pretty big. I mean, whether the job was for me,
yeah,
no doubt. It's where I was supposed to be. Like I said, I would do it all over again right now. I mean, yeah. But as far as coping with death, you see so much of it in our line of work that I kind of turns your heart cold, really, because you see so much of it. It's just another day. So, but deep down inside, you know, you feel it and it hurts you, but you can't dwell on it. You move on, and you got another job to do. So, just grit it and bear it. I mean, that's all I can say. Anything anybody can do.
Right.
Line of duty deaths is tough. Like I said, talking about back to the new 9/11, 343 people they lost. When you hear about one person in your department that something's happened to, it's touching. I mean, it's especially if there's somebody that you worked with before and knew well. I mean, that really affects you. It does. Many female firefighters I've worked with. I've worked with them. After I've been on a year, I worked with Debbie Butler out at Station 14, and great person. I enjoy working with her. And I worked with Kathy Smith at Station 5, and I had Vicki Martin as an officer at 8, she come over there and worked with her. Yeah, I had no problem at all working with females. I enjoy the change. I mean, it's nice to have a female instead of all men all the time. I mean, it's just a different philosophy. They see things different, and we talk about different stuff. And so, some of the most significant changes to me has got to be the technology of everything and the equipment that we have. The trucks now compared to what we had when you and I came on. But yeah, first truck I was on had a roof, but the second truck I was on didn't even have a top on it. No heater, no top. And now you got Cadillacs out there. I mean, they're so high tech on the computers on the trucks and stuff that I would say technology to me just is drive open cab trucks. Well, when there's a thunderstorm comes, a lot of times that's when your call volume goes up. And when you're driving a truck and it's raining on the inside of it, the steering wheel's real slick. I mean, everything you got in there is getting wet. And windshield wipers aren't wiping the window because it's getting on the inside. And in the cold, when it's cold too, we used to grab a blanket, one of the wool blankets from the bed, and take it on the truck with us, because even with your turnout gear on, it was still cold. That was a thrill, really. Riding the back of the truck was a thrill that I'm glad I got to experience it. The roles of firefighters now has changed tremendously since I come on. I mean, medical especially. I mean, there's so many more medicines that they're administering, and the EpiPens and the Narcan. They're faced with so many more medical issues that they have to deal with now than when I come on. But to me, a successful firefighter, it's not necessarily how high you climb in the ranks, but it's what you leave behind as far as knowledge that you share with other firefighters. You can be a mentor. You can ride the back of the truck your whole career and be a mentor and be as good at your job as you can. That's successful to me. That's someone that's done their job well, and the fact that they didn't want to move up, that's their business. I mean, as long as they mentor to others and leave something behind. Well, my family definitely supported me. I mean, having children, and my wife, she's home every third day with small children and having to take them to the soccer games, and never once complained about that. So, yeah, they're a big support, and I'd get to everything I could, but you can't always do it when you're working a 24-hour shift. So. My faith in the fire department grew. I mean, my life changed during my career as a fireman. So, someone that made an impact on me off the job, Robert Johnson. He helped me mow, and on our days off, and Robert he didn't hide his faith, and he shared with me all the time about what the Lord had done to him and for him, and that really turned my life around by working with him side by side. So, the reason I retired, honestly, when I got my 30, had my 30 and a half years in, and I thought I'm gonna see go to see Michelle Talley and see what kind of salary I'm gonna have. And when she ran in my numbers, and I figured I was coming to work for about $25 for a 24-hour shift, it's just hard to keep doing and taking a chance on catching something or getting hurt, and knowing I had family at home. And so that's really the main reason I retired, because it wasn't because I didn't like the job. I still loved every day I come to work. I was captain on Engine 8, one of the busiest engine companies in the city, and I loved every day I went to work. Wasn't a day I got up and didn't want to come to work. I mean, knock on wood, my health's been great since I retired. A few more aches and pains, but that's expected as age comes in. But I think the interviews that you were doing is absolutely fantastic, because it gives each retiree a chance to speak on their career and what they did, the changes they've seen, and how it's affected their life, and the friends that they've met. I mean, I've got friends that are closer to me than my own brothers and sisters. So, I mean, I think this letting everybody share their life as a firefighter has really been great. So, I would like the fire department and firefighters to remember me as the person that treated everybody equal, everybody fair. I didn't care what rank you were, if you was on the bottom of the totem pole or the top of the totem pole. I treated everybody with respect and just treated them like a person that should be treated. I mean, that's just my personality. That's who I was.
That's good.
I'd like my family to remember how dedicated I was to the job. My wife would tell you I probably didn't take 10 sick days in my career. So I had to be in bad shape not to come to work. So I was dedicated to the job, and I'm just dedicated to my family. So that's what I'd like to be remembered as. Now, my life off the job, on the job, but I think it's great. I mean, I'm not a millionaire, but I've got a great family. I got them some money. I mean, but yeah, I mean, life's good, and I wouldn't change anything really for nothing. The path that I took and it's been a good one, and I've enjoyed every day of it. So.
We hope you enjoyed watching these documentaries. It was our goal to share and preserve the memories of our retired Greensboro firefighters. It is our desire that these documentaries will inspire future generations to continue the brotherhood, sisterhood, and camaraderie while always striving for excellence in their careers. While fire apparatus, equipment, and technology have improved, several things will always remain the same. The courage and bravery it takes to mitigate natural and man-made disasters will always be a part of the job. Although our retirees are no longer a physical part of the GFD world, a giant piece of each retiree's memories have been shared with you today. These memories will be in their hearts and minds forever. A special thank you goes out to Captain Harold Haney for his many long hours of recording and editing. Thank you, Harold. A job well done.